TM Forum is the global association driving digital transformation in the telecom industry. We're very pleased today to have Nik Willetts, who's the president and CEO of TM Forum, here with us today to talk about the association and its aims. Thank you for joining us today, Tim.
It's my pleasure.
What exactly is the TM Forum about? We've said digital transformation. What does that mean, and what are you trying to do?
Sure, so TM Forum's a global industry consortium of over 800 companies and organizations, really focused on how we make the leap from traditional communication service provider to being a digital service provider. We focus on the transformation of the operating model to be fit for the next decade. We believe that in order to survive and thrive in that decade, as an industry, we've got to figure out how to move much, much faster, a much lower price, and be able to really put the customer at the center of what we're doing as an industry. That's a big change for an industry that's been on a rapid growth path for the last 30 years and is now having to grapple with the realities of how it plays its role and finds its place in the digital market.
Now, all of those things that you just mentioned sound like very important goals to be achieved. What are the key elements that will actually get people there along that way that you're focused on?
So there's many levels to the transformation. We look at transformation across 5 different areas. You've got the operational transformation, so really the operating model of the business itself. You have the strategic direction you're looking for, and what we find with many operators is a bit of a confused picture in terms of where they want to be, what we call the North Star. But for those who are really recognizing where they want to get to, they're saying, we want to be a digital player, we want to be a partner to other industries. We look at the technology implications, where a lot of the industry starts. We often start at events like this with the technology conversation, but transformation's a lot more than that, but it's enabled by the transformation. We look at the impact on culture and ways of working, and how the company really makes the right decisions as to what kind of culture it needs, which is radically different from the hierarchical old ways of working. We've seen that transformed by internet companies. And finally, we look at the ways in which we innovate as a business and we leverage data within our companies. That has to change as well, because you've got to be continuously innovating. And this is a continuous journey of transformation. It's not a big bang and in 5 years you're done. That's old world thinking from the 20th century. Now we have to think about short-term goals with a long-term mission and objective that's going to power us towards that. But we have to look across the business to drive that transformation, not just in the traditional silos of the past.
I mean, a lot of people have said that the transformation is a journey, not a destination. It sounds like that's very much what you're focusing on as well.
Yeah, and I think that's nice words to say, what we have to think about is what that really means in practice. And that means going from a world where change was managed in a waterfall style, where you decide to execute a change project and you've got a long period of time to do so, to frankly what's a much more energizing and fun way of working, which is to work in a much more agile mode of operation. Now, I want to stress that doesn't mean that there's just chaos and there's no planning. In fact, in many ways, working in Agile requires more rules and more principles, but you're trusting the people to enforce those and you're really driving a different way of working. So what we find is companies that can make that leap, and it's a challenging leap, especially for people who've been in the industry a long time, maybe they've never experienced a different way of working. Once they start to experience that, you unlock a huge amount of energy and a huge amount of efficiencies in your business by changing that. So it's absolutely a journey. But that's more than a buzzword, it's actually a different way of working.
It also sounds like what I'm hearing you say is talking about operators, much more focused on the telco operators as opposed to the vendors. Companies like Huawei are also involved in TM Forum. How does their participation sort of affect the outcome and affect the dynamic that you're working with?
So the core work of the TM Forum is all about bringing the industry together to drive change. You can't do that if you're only serving one constituency. So right back throughout the TM Forum's 30-year history, we've always focused on how we bring all the right players to the same table, both to drive our programs, to drive change. And we've got a long and rich history of doing that really successfully. I think that's now more important than it's ever been, because we're at a time of unprecedented levels of change, and we're at a time when the industry is under more and more pressure from external forces. So the competitive landscape, even for new services, but also for traditional services, is becoming more and more complex. So we have to think about, how do we bring everybody together? That means that everybody's role starts to shift a bit. A technology vendor you've worked with in the past, or you just bought a certain product or box from, now you need to look at as a partner. You need to remember that those vendors also bring a lot of new thinking and technology to the table as well, and they have experience across many different companies. So we really advocate in the forum collaborating, bringing companies together to solve those problems collaboratively. We prove consistently that if we do that, we can save companies time and money and produce much faster results for the market as a whole.
Specifically with Huawei, they're a member, they're engaged with it. What are some of the things that inputs and insights that they've been able to provide?
Well, look, Huawei's a very important company in the industry, and it's been an important member of the TM Forum for over a decade now. Where we see Huawei very much focused today is on the operational transformation, on helping the operational model transforming, also looking at the OPEX reduction to make us more efficient businesses, not just to save money and make shareholders happier, but also to find ways to unlock capital and operating expense that can be invested in other areas. So technologies like AI, you saw our open APIs and our Catalyst program, all areas that Huawei, along with many other companies, is collaborating with us every day.
Fantastic. Nik, thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Cheers.